consortium that is aiming to develop the next generation real-world tools to measure mobility. So to measure mobility continuously as people go about their day-to-day activities.
Many of the diseases that are still challenging society today are chronic, and that means that they change very slowly over time, and they don't necessarily kill someone very quickly, but they do make them less and less independent. And measuring that turns out to be quite hard. Walking is one of the key features of independence. If you can get out of a chair, walk to the kitchen, cook something for yourself, and come back to eat it, you can stay at home living independently.
We've had over 300 people working in the consortium, but it's a real multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder affair, if you like. So we have people from academic institutions, we've got partners from industry, from Novartis and some of the very large pharmaceutical companies. We have tech companies involved, clinical research organisations, management companies, and we've also worked very, very closely with patients and the public as well.
It came out of an effort by several pharmaceutical companies to determine whether their innovative medicines were going to make people more able to walk freely. And it turned out to have a lot of difficulties doing that, and we needed to combine our forces to come up with standardized ways of measuring this mobility.
The private-public partnership has been here for more than a decade now, and actually have been a fantastic tool to help us manage issues that cannot be resolved by single organizations. The complexity of the challenge, the type of expertise that is required, the multi-stakeholder nature of the problem requires that we get multiple players together. The IMI framework has been here to help us to do that. It is also a way to help develop skills, new talents, achieve some steps to advance the science, but also deliver practical solutions that can be used as we develop new drugs and develop faster drugs for patients.
The purpose of today is to bring the consortium together, to bring them together with our external committees who have supported us. I think we have nearly 100 invited guests, all drawn from different backgrounds, multiple different stakeholders. And what we wanted to do today was share our achievements with everybody at a very high level, talk about the impacts that we think we've had, but then we wanted to engage in an interaction and a conversation as well. So we structured the day to have a series of presentations, to have external people invited on panels to discuss what they've heard, to get people interacting. We have lots of posters and opportunities to meet the research teams, so to get people to interact with each other and further those conversations in more depth. And then we're also asking polling questions as well, so there's a bit of homework to do. And what we want to do is to collectively take that knowledge and help us to think about how we move forward so that we really have a sustainable approach, and to learn from the invited guests, but also for us to be able to disseminate where we're at and for them to go back out and share our findings as well.
The value of the mobilized data to industry is really twofold. First is that Mobilized will generate the evidence necessary to prove that a digital mobility outcome correlates to established clinical outcomes that are meaningful to patients and meaningful outcomes to developing new medicines and to the health authorities. The second part of the value is really sharing the knowledge and best practices created within Mobilized that would offer a standardized approach and a standard to implementing digital mobility outcomes into clinical trials. So the combination of the evidence of value in conjunction with the knowledge of how to implement the technology, collect the data, analyze the data to obtain the digital mobility outcomes will be invaluable.
Without this pre-competitive type of public-private collaborations, I think we would have been sagging behind, potentially abandoning some key questions that would not have been resolved without this type of framework.
We can learn that people, if decline with their mobility, there's something wrong, so potentially they should see a doctor. We can look if the treatment effect is sufficient, or if we have to adapt the medication, for instance, or do something else. I think we're setting the agenda that this is something that is actually for everyone. So for every person who is, let's say, above 50, they should regularly assess their mobility. And this would have massive implications for prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation.
I worked in about 30 projects until now, and this one was one of the biggest projects that I worked on. And it's not only biggest in partners and budget, but biggest on the impact that we had in the project and we will have in the project. So what drives me is the part of having an impact for the patients and having an impact for the future of health. So I'm very pleased to arrive here and see that the results that we have will be taken further into new developments. And because this is also something that I'm looking into, not just doing the research, but also having them on the market as an innovation.
We really have made a transformational change in how people perceive the importance of mobility and how they can measure it going forward. But much more importantly, there are really are multiple impacts, and the impacts are not only at a level of we've developed the technology, we've shared algorithms that will generate further impact, we have data which we're going to share, and that's going to generate further impact. We've also made an impact on knowledge and capacity. We've trained the next generation of people, and that's so very important. If you want something to be sustainable, you have to really share that knowledge so that knowledge has momentum and transfers forward. We've had impact because we work with patients and we've made sure that what we're doing is really fit for purpose. Multiple other impacts, too many to mention.